Friends, chaos erupted at an ancient church in Los Angeles when the unthinkable occurred. 15 nuns suddenly became pregnant. The community was stunned, and questions abounded as to how such an inexplicable phenomenon could take place within the sacred walls of their beloved church. The church administration and local media were thrown into a frenzy, scrambling to understand and explain the shocking events that had upended the long-standing sanctity of the institution. Investigations were launched promptly, and DNA tests were conducted to trace the origin of the unborn children. In an astonishing twist that defied all expectations, the results revealed that every single child's DNA was an exact match to that of the church's head priest, Father Joseph. This revelation spread like wildfire, leaving everyone in a state of disbelief and forcing a re-examination of accepted truths about faith and morality. Rumors and speculations began to circulate, with some suggesting divine intervention, while others whispered of hidden conspiracies and clandestine rituals. The incident not only shook the local community, but also sent ripples through the broader religious world. How could such a revered figure be connected to this unprecedented scandal? And what did this mean for the future of the church's legacy? As investigators dug deeper, each new piece of evidence only heightened the mystery, suggesting that there was far more to this story than anyone could have imagined. With every passing moment, the enigma grew, leaving a trail of unanswered questions. Was this a miracle, a carefully orchestrated deception, or something else entirely? The truth, it seemed, was waiting to be uncovered in a tale that would soon redefine the boundaries of faith and scandal. Everyone in the community was left questioning the sanctity of their traditions and miracles. The church's reputation was irreparably tarnished as the scandal deepened. Father Joseph was quick to deny the allegations, vehemently declaring that he had never engaged in such sinful behavior. "This is nothing more than a devious plot," he insisted, his voice resolute and unwavering. "I hold the nuns in the highest regard, and the very thought of such transgression is abhorrent to me." His response, delivered with a mix of indignation and disbelief, resonated through the media and among the congregation. Yet, his refusal to accept any responsibility did little to quell the mounting public outcry. When questioned, the nuns themselves offered little clarity. They maintained that they were as bewildered as anyone by the sudden occurrence. "We have no idea how this happened," they confessed, their voices tinged with equal measures of shock and sorrow. Some of them even suggested that what had transpired could be nothing short of a divine miracle, a mysterious intervention by Jesus himself. This view, however, was met with skepticism as further evidence began to emerge. As the investigation unfolded, it became apparent that this was no ordinary incident. What initially appeared to be a miraculous event quickly took on the contours of a deeper, more calculated conspiracy. Investigators uncovered hints that there might have been a long-standing plan at work, one that involved these very 15 nuns. The possibility of a premeditated scheme, orchestrated by forces unknown, soon gained traction, casting a long shadow over the church and its hallowed halls. Throughout this turbulent period, Father Joseph's steadfast denials and his insistence on his innocence did little to allay the suspicions of the community. His demeanor, a mixture of stern authority and perplexed resignation, only added fuel to the fire. The juxtaposition of his strong disavowal with the bizarre and inexplicable nature of the events left everyone wondering about the true sequence of events. How could such a revered figure be entangled in a situation that defied both logic and religious doctrine? As pressure mounted, the narrative began to split into two divergent paths. One that clung to the hope of a miraculous intervention, and another that saw the scandal as the culmination of a sinister, long-planned conspiracy. In the midst of these polarized opinions, Father Joseph's reaction remained consistent. an unwavering denial paired with a plea for rational investigation. His insistence on his innocence, while noble in its own right, ultimately deepened the mystery, leaving the community and investigators alike grappling with more questions than answers. At the heart of the unfolding scandal, a remarkable revelation emerged from an unexpected source. Sister Malia, a respected senior nun with decades of service in the church, took a bold step by sending a secret letter to local police officers. In this carefully penned document, she detailed a hidden facet of the church's history that had long been shrouded in mystery. According to her letter, many years ago beneath the church's hallowed walls lay an ancient basement, a place long forgotten by most. This underground chamber, she explained, was home to centuries-old books, manuscripts, and religious texts that guarded the sacred secrets of the church's past. Sister Malia revealed that among these ancient tomes was one particularly mysterious book. The pages of this ancient volume described a ritualistic spiritual process, a process that promised the miraculous bestowal of pure progeny, achievable without any physical contact or traditional biological means. This process, if true, would defy conventional understanding and introduce an entirely new paradigm of creation, one imbued with both spiritual purity and divine intervention. The contents of the letter left the police officers utterly astonished. The possibility that such clandestine practices and hidden rituals had been part of the church's legacy was both shocking and perplexing. For many, the idea that secret ritualistic texts could hold the key to a phenomenon as extraordinary as the miraculous births was beyond belief. As law enforcement began to piece together Sister Malia's revelations with the other puzzling events, the entire community braced itself for further unsettling discoveries. The revelation in that secret letter had now opened a door to a long-buried past, one that promised to challenge the very foundations of faith, mystery, and the unexplained. This startling revelation intensified suspicions, compelling authorities to embark on deeper probe into the church's enigmatic past. Further revelations emerged from Sister Malia, whose voice carried both sorrow and a steely determination to unburden the hidden truths of the church's past. In an exclusive interview with investigators, she revealed that the name by which she was known in the church was not her real identity. "I have chosen to conceal my true name, for it carries a weight of secrets that I no longer wish to expose," she confided. For several years, she had dedicated her life to the church until the bizarre and escalating events had become unbearable. She admitted that the continuous, inexplicable occurrences had eroded her faith in the institution, compelling her to resign from her duties long before the scandal broke out. In her heartfelt confession, Sister Malia recounted the turmoil that had overwhelmed her conscience. "I could not stand by and watch as the sacred trust of our congregation was defiled by these inexplicable acts," she said, her eyes filled with a mix of grief and resolve. As police interrogated the 15 nuns involved, each of them consistently maintained that the children growing within them were not the product of any human intervention, but rather the manifestation of divine will, a belief that confounded investigators and deepened the mystery further. Her testimony offered a stark contrast to the official narrative propagated by church authorities, forcing everyone involved to reassess what they thought they knew about the events. The fact that Sister Malia had chosen to step away from the church underscored the profound impact of the scandal on even the most devout members. Her personal journey, marked by loss, disillusionment, and a desperate search for truth, resonated deeply with many who felt betrayed by the institution they had trusted for generations. Authorities, now armed with her detailed account, began to connect the dots between the clandestine rituals described in ancient texts and the extraordinary claims of miraculous births. While the police were still scrambling to understand the full scope of the conspiracy, Sister Malia's revelations had already sown seeds of doubt and ignited a fervor for accountability. In her own words, the children were seen as pure progeny destined to uphold the Church's legacy, a notion that only deepened the paradox of faith versus human deception. Her courageous disclosure not only exposed long-hidden secrets, but also set the stage for a dramatic upheaval within the Church, demanding justice and truth for all universally. Father Joseph was under increasing pressure from both the authorities and the community to accept responsibility for the shocking events unfolding in the Church. Accusations and suspicions continued to mount as reports indicated that the children born to the 15 nuns were not the result of natural conception, but rather appeared to bear his genetic imprint. Despite the growing evidence, Father Joseph repeatedly maintained his innocence, expressing genuine surprise that his DNA could be linked to the births. His defense echoed throughout the media and in whispered conversations among parishioners. Yet the mounting evidence suggested a narrative that painted him as complicit. Authorities noted that the DNA reports were not merely anomalies, but rather consistent with his genetic profile. Every test, every sample pointed to a disturbing reality. Father Joseph's genetic material was unmistakably present. It was as though his DNA had been used to orchestrate an event that defied conventional understanding. Despite this, he remained adamant, claiming that these reports were misleading and that no such connection could be made. As the investigation progressed, another startling discovery came to light, one that challenged even the most seasoned experts. It appeared that the miraculous births were possibly linked to a special ritual involving the Church's sacred wine, a substance that had been imbued with properties designed to alter genetic markers. This revelation added an entirely new dimension to the scandal, further complicating the narrative and intensifying public outcry. In the midst of escalating scrutiny and relentless media attention, Father Joseph's firm denials only deepened the mystery, leaving everyone questioning how such a situation could come to pass and what forces were truly at work behind this unholy chain of events. Father Joseph's obstinate denials, in the face of mounting evidence, left the entire community and investigators grappling with countless unanswered questions. As Father Joseph maintained his innocence, investigators turned their attention to every element of the Church's mysterious practices. One focus was the Church's sacred wine, a key element of the Christian communion ritual, revered for its spiritual significance. However, this was no ordinary wine. Laboratory tests revealed that the communion wine had been altered with a rare medicinal compound known only to subtly affect the genetic makeup of its consumers, particularly targeting the female genetic system. Samples of the wine were collected and analyzed by forensic experts, whose findings sent shockwaves through both the scientific and religious communities. The compound, it appeared, had the potential to trigger a cascade of genetic alterations, a phenomenon that could explain the extraordinary pregnancies among the nuns. This revelation led to a burning question. Was the miraculous event truly divine intervention, or had someone tampered with the sacred wine to engineer an unprecedented genetic outcome? The implications of this discovery were staggering. Skeptics argued that the presence of such a potent agent in the communion wine pointed to a deliberate act, a covert manipulation aimed at creating a new generation of pure progeny. For many, the wine, once a symbol of sanctity and divine grace, had now become a tool in a calculated scheme. The notion that the Church's revered ritual could have been exploited in this way blurred the lines between sacred tradition and scientific experimentation. This unexpected twist not only deepened the mystery surrounding the scandal, but also ignited fierce debates across the globe. Was this a miracle orchestrated by a higher power, or the result of a meticulously planned conspiracy involving modern genetic manipulation? The search for answers continued, as both experts and believers grappled with the disturbing possibility that faith might have been manipulated to serve an entirely different agenda. Further investigations revealed that the phenomenon was not the result of a human conspiracy, but rather an integral part of an ancient prophecy. An age-old Christian manuscript had foretold the birth of 15 children, children of pure lineage, born without the involvement of a mortal father. According to the prophecy, these miraculous births were destined to occur in a time of great upheaval, and the children were to become divine symbols of purity and leadership. This ancient text, long dismissed by modern scholars as allegory, now appeared to hold a frighteningly literal truth. Local villagers, too, had long murmured about a similar prophecy. They recounted tales passed down through generations, in which it was said that, in a fateful era, 15 miraculous births would take place, heralding the arrival of a new spiritual order. The villagers believed that these children, born without the conventional ties of paternity, were a sign of a divine intervention, a phenomenon that was to elevate them as leaders and spiritual guides in troubled times. Their long-standing belief added a layer of mysticism to the scandal, reinforcing the idea that these events were not entirely of this world, but were woven into the very fabric of the community's ancient lore. Even some of the nuns hinted at this mystical interpretation. In quiet, almost reverent tones, they confessed that during their years of dedicated service within the church, while partaking in the sacred communion wine, they had heard whispered promises of a divine miracle. The belief that the pure substance of the wine might trigger such a miraculous process had been a well-guarded secret among the devout. They maintained that their daily rituals, steeped in tradition and spiritual fervor, could have been the catalyst for these prophesied births. This convergence of ancient prophecy, local legend, and the inexplicable events shaking the church lent the entire affair an almost otherworldly quality. Were these children the foretold harbingers of a new age, or was it all a tragic twist of fate, the greatest deception in the church's history? The community remained divided, torn between the hope of a miraculous future and the grim reality of a scandal that defied all rational explanation. As the accusations against Father Joseph grew louder and the community's outrage reached a fever pitch, the scandal that had once simmered quietly now erupted into chaos. Public opinion was sharply divided, with many fervently condemning the priest, while others clung to the hope of a miraculous explanation. In the midst of this turmoil, a highly respected genetic scientist, Dr. Edward Harper, was urgently called in to conduct a thorough investigation into the baffling events. Known for his pioneering work in genetic research and his willingness to tackle controversial topics, Dr. Harper's involvement brought a new dimension to the unfolding mystery. Dr. Harper began his inquiry by meticulously re-examining the DNA reports that had implicated Father Joseph. His initial analysis confirmed that the genetic material found in the unborn children was unmistakably linked to him. Yet the manner in which the evidence was presented suggested the interference of modern scientific techniques rather than a natural occurrence. The patterns within the DNA hinted at deliberate manipulation, a discovery that challenged both scientific conventions and long-held religious beliefs. Determined to uncover the truth, Dr. Harper sought the cooperation of one of the nuns involved in the scandal. Her willingness to participate provided critical insights into the inner workings of the church's rituals and the possible tampering with its sacred practices. According to her account, there had been subtle changes in the preparation of the communion wine, a revered substance in the church, changes that might have introduced a rare compound capable of altering genetic responses. This possibility pointed to an engineered intervention rather than a divine miracle. Dr. Harper's findings began to suggest that what the public had initially interpreted as a supernatural event might, in fact, be the result of a carefully orchestrated act. His investigation raised serious questions about the integrity of the Church's rituals and the potential misuse of modern genetic manipulation. As he compiled his report, Dr. Harper prepared to present a comprehensive picture that bridged the gap between ancient prophecies and contemporary science. His work promised to unravel the layers of secrecy and deception, forcing everyone, from the church authorities to the wider community, to confront a truth that was as unsettling as it was groundbreaking. In the quiet solitude of the church, Sister Elizabeth embarked on a clandestine investigation that would unveil secrets buried for centuries. While residing within the ancient edifice, she discovered a hidden basement, a secret repository of knowledge and relics that had been concealed for nearly 800 years. Within this shadowy undercroft, she uncovered a trove of manuscripts and cryptic texts that revealed the existence of an age-old organization. This enigmatic group had long believed that humanity's path to spiritual purity did not lie solely in the conventional methods of reproduction, but rather through an unconventional process that transcended natural human limitations. According to the texts, the ancient doctrine proposed that the creation of pure spiritual progeny could be achieved by bypassing the traditional means of conception. Instead, the method involved a sophisticated synthesis of faith and nascent scientific principles, a process free from the moral and ethical constraints associated with sin and the institution of marriage for nuns. The writings argued that the original teachings of Christ had over the centuries been corrupted and distorted by human interference. In their purview, the true essence of divine creation lay in the ability to harness modern scientific advancements to foster life without compromising spiritual sanctity. The revelations contained in these manuscripts sent shockwaves through Sister Elizabeth's understanding of faith and tradition. The notion that pure souls might be artificially cultivated, crafted with both religious devotion and a touch of modern science, posed profound questions about the very nature of miracles and the integrity of the Church's long-standing practices. As she pieced together the historical accounts, it became clear that this ancient secret, hidden away beneath the Church's venerable walls, was not merely a relic of a bygone era, but a living testament to an alternative, controversial path to divine purity. The discovery compelled her to re-examine the boundaries between faith, science, and the eternal quest for spiritual perfection. In a dramatic climax to the unfolding scandal, Sister Elizabeth and Dr. Harper joined forces to expose the hidden truth behind the Church's dark secrets. Their relentless investigations led them to a concealed laboratory tucked away behind a secret door in the Church's ancient crypt. Here, they discovered experimental equipment, detailed records, and samples that directly linked Father Joseph to the controversial pregnancies of the 15 nuns. The accumulated evidence left no room for doubt. Father Joseph had been using his genetic material in a calculated scheme to engineer a new generation of pure progeny. The comprehensive case was built on multiple layers of evidence. Detailed DNA analyses confirmed that the genetic makeup of the unborn children matched Father Joseph's, while forensic examinations of the altered communion wine revealed the presence of a rare compound capable of triggering genetic changes. Moreover, ancient manuscripts and hidden texts discovered in the Church's forgotten basement corroborated claims of ritualistic practices intended to transcend natural human reproduction. These revelations merged ancient prophecy with modern science, painting a damning picture of deception and manipulation. As the case against him solidified, public outrage reached a fever pitch. In a swift and coordinated law enforcement operation, Father Joseph was apprehended within the church premises. Congregants, who had once looked upon him with reverence, now witnessed in disbelief as the once revered priest was led away in handcuffs, his eyes reflecting a blend of shock and resignation. The arrest sent shockwaves throughout the community and reverberated across the religious world, marking a profound breach of trust. With Father Joseph in custody, authorities prepared to dismantle the intricate network of deceit that had tainted the church's sanctity. The truth had finally emerged, reshaping the narratives of faith, science, and betrayal for generations to come.